Okay, if you can hear me, just say something. Let me just know. We are starting
Yeah, I can
off
hear
from...
you.
Okay, you can hear me.
Yes.
All right, I can see Maria Joseph is online. So if you can hear me, just say something. I can see Salim Ahmed Tuko online. If you can hear me, let me know. You can use the chat feature to chat. Let me just know if you can hear me. Just say hi using the chat feature. Good, Salim Ahmed Tuko. I can see you said hi. So can you see my screen? Can you see my Excel interface? Okay, so Simon, I've seen your response, very good. So if you're online and you can hear me, just say hi. All right, so Victor, that's very good. Let me also know if you can see my screen. Can you see my interface, the Excel interface that I have here? All right, so let me unmute you. Victor, I want you to just let me know what can you see on my screen. Okay, Victor, just I've unmuted. Okay, what can you see on my screen?
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, on your screen I can see Excel beginner class.
Okay, very good.
The schedule.
All
yes,
right.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
yes, sir.
Our video is intact, our voice is intact, so we can go ahead then.
Okay, sir.
All right. So I welcome you guys to this class. All right. So you guys are welcome. I'm sure we are all from different walks of life. And the essence of this class is actually to expose us to the many things that we can do with Microsoft Excel. Is okay. So what to expect, why Microsoft Excel, and opportunities that this can offer us. So this is strictly for beginners. All right. So as a beginner, you definitely might have come across Microsoft Excel, or it's actually one of the packages in Microsoft Office suite. So in Microsoft Office suite, you have Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, the Microsoft Excel is one of the applications. So if you notice on my screen here, I have this guy here where it says what tax 5. Is all right? So in tax 5, the name of the file here is what all tax for this section found here. Then the file extension is this place where it says what .xlsx. Is all right? So this .xlsx is the file extension for every Excel file. Is all right? So before now, for earlier versions of Microsoft Excel, the file extension actually does not have the last X on it. So from 2010 downwards, it's from 2013, 2016, and subsequent versions that now have this X at the end, right? Just to distinguish the Microsoft, that is the newest versions of Microsoft Excel. So there are different ways of opening your Microsoft Excel, all right? So you can go through the start menu, all right? Or you can just double click any of the Excel applications. So why I'm saying all this is so that we just want to start from the very beginning. So the assumption is that, okay, we are so new to Excel and we definitely might not know how to open the software. It's all right. So please, if you are following, just type in following so that I'll know that I'm not alone. Type in following. Okay, just type following so that I know that I'm not just talking to myself. Okay, all right. Yes, more response. Following. I'm trying to see if I can record the session. It's showing recording. Maybe it's at the end of the class that I'll see if it has recorded or not. So I don't know why Okay. All right. So we can continue. We can continue. So you notice that for you to actually be considered for some job applications, it requires you to have Microsoft Excel skills. Okay, some job applications. In fact, some professionals cannot even do without it. All right, there's no accountant now as it is that does not know how to use Microsoft Excel. All right, so even all these are telecom companies and all that. Like when I actually did my service, that was in Lagos in 2015. The company I was posted to was the Huawei. Okay, that is the Huawei. These guys that manage all this. Okay, they have the mobile phone, but they are the ones that actually manage all these telecom companies in Nigeria. When you talk of MTN, Glo, and what have you. Now, the big bosses in my office then, that is the orgas, the people that will call orgas in the office. Do you know what they use? They use Microsoft Excel in calculating probably the number of project that has been deployed, in calculating the number of antennas and all that. You know, they do with all these antennas, all these masts and all that. So they use Microsoft Excel a lot, especially some basic, more advanced functions like VLOOKUP, COUNTIF and all that. So having a skill in Excel is very, very rewarding in the long run. You never can tell when you need it. All right. So why Excel? Okay, someone wants to join. So we decided to use Excel because it's very popular. All right. It's very, very popular among the workforce or people that will have around that actually work in offices. Teachers need it. You notice that I mentioned accountant before, secretaries need it. Okay. Even if you are a pastor, you also need Excel because you need to use it to calculate one or two once in a while. All right. So if you're making presentation, you need Excel to actually create your charts and make your work very easy. So Excel workbook. So the whole Excel file, like if you're opening an Excel file. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? Oh,
yes, I can hear you.
All right. Sorry, I lost my internet for a moment there.
Okay.
All right. So can you see my screen? All right. Can you see my screen? All right. Yeah. All right. So we continue. So I was making reference to the Excel workbook, and I said that within the Excel workbook, we have several worksheets. So this, at the lower part of the Excel application, I have several worksheets opened. So the worksheets can be renamed as needed. Okay. So to create a new worksheet, you just come to this bottom corner of your applications. You notice that I have what? New worksheets. So once you click it, it's going to create a whole new worksheet for you entirely. So this new worksheet is actually blank, which is sheet 2. Is okay? So sheet 2, you can now rename sheet 2 by right-clicking it, and you click what? Rename. Is okay? So that is actually how to rename a worksheet. So I'm just going to rename it to probably what now? Maybe example worksheets, example sheets, or something related to what you are doing at that particular time. So for this new sheet, you can move it forward, that is, make it to be the first worksheet, or you can move it backward. All right, or you can just move it around depending on what you want to do, what achieve. Is that okay? All right. So remember where we were before now was what? Intro worksheets, all right, which actually trying to show us everything we are seeing on our screen here. Okay. So with that said, we can now go ahead to look at other things on the Excel interface. So if you are with me here now, you'll notice that in the example worksheet, you have these guys that runs from top to bottom. All right. So the vertical running guys is called the columns. Is that okay? All right. Then the horizontal running guys is called the rows. So in Microsoft Excel, we have the columns, which are represented by the letters A, B, C, D, up to Z. But when you get to Z, it doesn't just stop there. It continues, all right? So when you get to Z, it continues to AA, AB, AC, and all that, okay? So there are a whole lot of combinations that you can get here. So when you get to AY, AZ, it will now start from BA, BB, BC, and all that, okay? So there are a whole lot of combinations. Also with one, right? This one gets to almost 10,000 rows, and you can just have as many as possible. All right, so that is the thing about rows. Now, when the rows and the columns, someone is saying something. All right, so when the rows and the columns intersect, okay, you call it a cell, right? Like if I click on any section of my screen here, I'm actually selecting a particular cell. Is that okay? So the intersection of the column letter and the row number is what is called cell reference. Is that okay? So the intersection of the column letter, like supposing I select a cell here, this cell is selected on column D. Is okay? Let me just use a coloring. This cell is selected on column D. All right. Then on row 6. Is that okay? Let me use another color. So at the intersection where the column letters and the row numbers intersect is what you have your cell reference as, or is what you call cell reference. And to see your cell reference, you always see it at this section of your screen. All right. So sorry. So to see the active cell, you always see it at this section of your screen. So the active cell in this case is what? Cell D6. Is that okay? So cell D6, that is the active cell. And the name of where this active cell is always shown is called the name box. Is that okay? So you don't need to actually cram anything. You don't need to maybe memorize anything. With time, you just get used to it. All right. Now, you also notice that there's another box that is here. This part of my screen, there's another box which runs like this. This is actually the formula bar. So whenever you are working with formula, it's just mostly about formulas. You see your formulas here. Okay. So please, for those that are just joining us and for those that are still here, just say following if you are following, so that I know I'm not just talking to myself. I always want the class to be interactive. Okay. So just type following so that I know that we are working together. And if there's anything you don't understand, just note down your question so that at the end of this particular class, of this particular session, you can say something. Is okay? So following, all right. Yes, I've gotten response. Simon, good. Salim, very good. Okay. So Victor F, all right, following. So Maria says yes. Okay. Now we go continue. So having understand what cells are and what columns are, then we'll actually know what a name box is and what the formula bar is. So you also have this section of your screen where you have all these guys. Is that okay? So these are actually the toolbox. All the different tools that you eventually be using in Microsoft Excel is found here. You cannot know it all at once, but as we eventually start using them, you begin to familiarize yourself with the functionalities of each of these guys here. Is all right? So we also have the menu bar, okay? So this guys here is the menu bar. So any kind of menu, once you click on them, it brings up your toolbar, or the interface of your toolbar changes. So here we are in the home menu bar. So when you click on insert, the interface of the different toolbars changes for insert. So for page layout, the interface also changes. For formulas, the interface also changes. So my first lesson in Microsoft Excel is actually a very funny one. That was when I was in Jos Plateau State. So what happened was that the computer lesson or wherever we went to learn the Excel, they have this big book that looks like textbook. So all these things, they've actually screenshotted it or sniped it. And what we'll just do is to come and they'll just give us that book and we'll be going through it. So we'll be imagining what the Excel looks like, because that time the computers were not enough for everyone, and you definitely have like a time frame to finish up everything. But here we are today, everything is practical. We're going to be doing everything practical. All right. So just to recall, the vertical guys in Excel is called the columns, and the horizontal guys is called the rows. Okay. The intersection of the rows, the column letter and the row letter is what you call a cell, and it is also referenced by the column letter and the what row number. Is that okay? So having treated that, all right. So one other thing that I want us to do without wasting more time is how to resize each of these columns and the rows. Okay, how to resize them. So supposing I type in a word here now, maybe join the class. Okay, you notice that join the class is in cell H1. All right, so why is it in cell H1? Because it's in column H and row 1. Hope this is making sense now. All right, so it's in cell H1. So the cell reference for this is what? H1. Now, you notice that also it doesn't fit completely into what? The H1 column. If you notice, it's overflowing to where you have what? I. So to resize this row, to resize this particular column, what you just need to do is to do what? Drag, just bring your mouse to where H and I column intersect. You notice that your cursor also changes. So what the Oyibo guys called cross share, all right? So it's something that looks like a cross. So once it changes, remember this cross that I'm seeing here is different from what is here. So once you change to this, you just left click your mouse and you drag to fit in appropriately. Is that okay? So you left click your mouse and you drag to fit in. All right, let me just undo that and show you a quicker way of doing that. So another quicker way of doing that is once your mouse is here, just double click your mouse. That's left click, double click your mouse, and it should resize automatically. Is that right? So it should resize automatically. It's very, very easy. Okay, there's no sound. Sorry, who else cannot hear me? Let me know. If you can hear me, let me know, please. Someone said that there's no sound. If you can hear me, let me know. Okay, so Aliu, can you hear me now? Aliu Yusuf, can you hear me now? Okay, all right. Simon can hear me. Okay, so please, Aliu, check your network if your network doesn't have any issues, okay? Because sometimes network can actually make you not to hear the presenter. Okay, can we continue? All right, thank you, thank you. So we can continue. Okay, so also is for resizing rows, okay? So supposing I have several items here. So several items on this row. So I just tap in this, all right? So this might not actually help us to understand how to resize rows, but just like we resize columns, you can just drag down, okay? Or you just double click. Is all right? Okay, so having said that, let us just go straight to the next task because we don't want to waste more time on some basic things. So have cell referencing in Microsoft Excel. So in cell referencing, just like we said before now, is the intersection of your column number and your what? Your column letter and your row numbers. So, but cell referencing is divided into 3, okay? The three types of cell referencing is the absolute cell referencing, the relative cell referencing, and the partial cell referencing. Okay, so you don't need to cram anything because we are going to be seeing how to use each of these cell referencing. Remember, at the end of this class, I'll be sending you this particular Excel file because there'll be a task for you to do. So make sure you pay attention. Is okay? So there'll be tasks based on what we've done that you do, because Excel is all about practice. Excel is all about practice. I myself personally, I don't believe in theory. So we do the talk and we do the activities behind it. Okay. So cell referencing, absolute cell referencing, and we'll have what? Relative cell referencing. So we are going to be using some examples to buttress down our points on what absolute cell referencing is, as well as what relative cell referencing is. Okay. Now, this is my screen here. I'm just going to clear this. Okay. Then do I have something here? Okay, I'm going to clear this. Then I'm going to clear this. Okay. Now you notice that what you have some set of numbers here. So in cell A5, you have a number 10, and in cell B5, you have what? 5. Just different sets of numbers. And they've asked us to do what? Add up these numbers as well as what? Subtract these numbers. Okay. All right. So you can also do things like what? Multiply. Multiply. All right. So okay, so you can also do things like multiply, but I just needed to explain something to us. So for relative cell referencing, I don't want to define it. I want us to understand how it works. Is all right? So when they say you should do what? Add. All right? So in Excel, when you want to actually perform anything, maybe a calculation, you always start that particular calculation with what? Equal to. Okay? You always start that particular calculation with what? Equal to. If you know you're following me, please, can you just type equal to on your screen? Please, I want to know whether you're following me. When you want to start any calculation in Excel, you always start with what? Equal to. Just find where equal to is on your keypad or wherever you are. Type in equal to. Okay, awesome, Victor. That is awesome. Yes, we have 6 people. Awesome, that is awesome. Okay, Maria, awesome, equal to, yes. Simon, awesome. Okay, so we always start everything, that's every calculation in Excel with what? Equal to. So when you are asked to add this particular cells here, so what you need to do is to start with what? Equal to. All right. So once you start with equal to, this number 10 is in what particular cell? It's in cell A, that is row what? A, and what? Column 5. Sorry, it's in column A and what? Row 5. So we are going to call this what? A5. Okay, so when you type in A5, it's going to select that particular cell automatically. Thank you, Suleiman. Thank you, Simon. Equal to. All right. So when you type in A, it's going to select. That is when you type in A5, it's going to select that particular cell. So for addition, you just input your addition sign. Right. Then another faster way of selecting the cell is to click on that cell directly instead of bothering yourself. Okay, what cell is this particular number? So this particular number is in column B, row 5. So instead of probably typing it, you can just click on it. It will tell you column B, row 5, which is what? Cell B5. So once you are through typing this formula, you now hit what? Enter. It will do the math for you. Does that make sense? So that is how easy it is to do calculation in Excel. So guys, Zoom just told me that we have 10 more minutes to round up with this session. So once it's 10 minutes, I'll end the class, then we'll have to rejoin. Hope we are good with that. All right. So with this, we can easily do the orders by saying what? Equal to this cell plus this cell, and we'll hit what? Enter, and we'll get the answer. Is that okay? So Excel is a powerful calculator. Like if you know how to use Excel, there's nothing you cannot, there's no math that you cannot solve. All right. So for the next one, we start with what? Equal to. Please, if there's anything that you don't understand in this class, just know that before you start any calculation in Excel, it must proceed with what? Equal to. It just in rare cases or few times that probably you want to do something that involves calculation in Excel that you might not need to start with what? Equal to. Maybe you want to call a particular function, but it's in actually special cases. But most of the time you start with what? Equal to. So you have what? This plus this to give you this. All right. Now, this will actually take our time. Doing this one at a time. What if you have like 100 records? Are we going to be doing it, line by line? It will actually waste our time. So what you will do in this case is, because we are dealing with what? Relative cell reference. All right. You can just select this particular cell that you've done the calculation once. Just at the bottom right corner of your cell, the is it icon of your mouse changes. Please just note the different types of the icons of the mouse at different instances. If I'm selecting a cell or wherever I am in Microsoft Excel, the cross sign is different from supposing I move it to the middle, that is the midpoint between each of the columns or the midpoint between each of the rows. Okay. Also, when I move the mouse to the bottom left, that is the bottom right of each cell selected, the icon also changes. Is okay. So once I move my mouse to the bottom right of this cell selected, I can now left click and drag it down, and it should do what? Fill up the calculation for me automatically, okay, without me wasting my time. If I have 1,000 of this math to solve, I can now drag down to as many of those calculations that I need to do. Hope that is clear. So relative cell referencing help us to make this possible. All right. So we can also do that for subtraction or minus. So equal to this minus this. Sorry, minus this, which will give us 5. So you can now go ahead to drag it down, just like we saw before now. Is that okay? So we can also do that for multiplication, equal to this multiplied by, if you're using your keyboard, your multiplication sign is just shift and 8, because the star is just the asterisk. Okay, just find where asterisk is. All right, so multiply by this, then hit enter. So we are going to drag down. All right, so relative cell referencing, what relative cell referencing does is to help you to replicate formulas down a group, okay, or across a period without, so down a column or across a row without your answers changing considerably. Changing considerably means you get consistent answer. All right. So that is what relative cell referencing help you to do. I'm just trying to explain it in the best layman's understanding that you can easily get. Okay. But you've seen how actually it works. When I drag down my answers down, it actually copies down the formula down that particular column. Is okay. So once I've inputted the formula once in this particular cell D5, I can now replicate my answers down. Okay. So once we come back in the next phase, we'll look at what absolute cell referencing does for us. Please permit me to end this class now. But before we end, I think we'll have maybe some 2 minutes or so. I want us to tell me if we are following, if you're understanding. Just say something. Let me know before we go out and come in now. Just say something before we just go. Okay, Simon is following. Please, if you have any question, just be noting it down. We are going to answer all questions. Is that right? Okay. Is there any Simon that is following? Okay, Victor, awesome. Great, great. All right. Okay, I am following using my laptop, but didn't get the formula well. Okay, all right. Maybe we'll have to visit it again when we come back. I'm following. Great, Suleiman. Suleiman, great. All right. Okay, so we'll just end this class and I'll start it again. So please just join immediately. I'm stopping this now. Okay, just join back immediately. The sound is not activated. Please do something. Okay, by sound, how do you mean, sir? Is it your own sound or my sound? Can you hear me at all? Can you hear me? I actually muted everyone. It's just that I think one other person is unmuted, which is Victor. I don't know how Victor was able to unmute himself, but I muted everyone. Okay, but why I muted everyone is so that there won't be any disturbances during the classes, because I know that we are in different environments, some busy, some quiet, so I don't want any disturbances. So that's why I muted everyone. Hope we are good with that. All right, so I'm ending the class now, so we just join back. All right, so welcome back. Welcome back. So one of us mentioned that she didn't understand the formula aspect. All right, so what I just need to do now is I'm just going to clear this. All right, I'm going to clear this. So even if this is the only thing you understand today, I'm very happy. All right, so I'm just going to do it once again. So we are asked to add, subtract, and multiply these numbers. Okay, so before you start any form of calculation in Excel, you must precede it with what? An equal sign. So the equal sign, you select the cell that you want to use for the calculation. Then you introduce the symbol, in this case, which is the plus. Okay, so you cannot just plus only one cell. There must be several other cells that you are plusing. But in this case, we have two cells. So you select the second cell. All right. So you can also say plus. You now select this one. Suppose you want to sum up everything. You can now say plus. You now select this one. Okay. You now say plus. You now select this one. You now say plus. You now select this one. All right. So you can select several of these cells. But what we are interested in is the first two. Okay. Which is what? A5 and what? B5. So once you've done that, you now hit what? Enter on your keyboard. All right. So once you hit enter, it sums it up for you. Very easy. Okay. All right. So for subtraction, you still proceed with what? An equal sign. Select the cell you want to subtract. Then you select the second cell. Then hit what? Enter. All right. Also, with subtraction, you can have several numbers subtracted from each other. So it cannot be probably limited to only two. You can have them multiple. You can say B5 minus this minus, okay, sorry, minus this. So you can have several of those numbers. But in this case, you're only interested in what? A5 minus B5. So once you've inputted your formula, you hit what? Enter. Very easy. It's just like you writing a formula in your book or something, right? Just like you're writing a formula in your book. It's the same thing. Okay, so for multiplication, it's still the same thing. Equal to, select the cell you are multiplying, then introduce your asterisk sign and select the second cell. Okay, so 10 times 5 is what? 50. Is okay. Now, we're trying to explain what relative cell referencing does for us. Okay, it allows us to copy down the formula down a column or across a row, right? So when the formula is copied across, it kind of replicates, and the answer is now, the formula is now replicated. Replication means what? To is it to copy? Okay, replication is the same thing as copied down. Right now, look at what happens for relative cell referencing. I've explained how moving my mouse to the bottom right corner of the cell, the icon of the mouse changes. So if I drag down, okay, it now does what? For addition, it now sums up this and this. Okay, now what it does invariably is what? It knows that what? This cell is A5 and this cell is what? B5. So it sums up A5 plus B5 to give you what? 15. So it now knows that the next summation will now be what? A6 plus what? B6. It now knows that after A6 plus B6, the next summation is what? A7 plus what? B7. So, all right. It now knows that after this, the next one will what? A8 plus what? B8. So that is relative cell references make this what? Possible. All right. So it helps you to replicate your formula or to copy down your formula down a column or across a what? A row. Okay. So, but if you don't understand it now, don't worry, because this eventually is what we'll be looking at as time goes on. Relative cell referencing, absolute cell referencing. But there's no how you start a calculation in Excel without understanding these two basic concepts on cell referencing. That's why we have to treat it, and it's very easy. It's not a big deal, okay? So don't think too much about it. All right, then for the subtraction, since I've entered the formula in this first one, I can now replicate, okay? Replicating means what? To copy down, all right? So for this first one, I have what? A5 minus what? B5, and it gives me what? 5. So it now smart to know that the next subtraction will now be what? A6 minus B6, A7 minus B7, like that, okay? For multiplication also. Please, if it is clear, I want you to confirm in the chat box before we continue. Okay, all right. So I guess it's only Maria that has that challenge, or every other person is following. So look at this number now. It couldn't fit here, okay? So it's showing hash, hash, hash in 4 places. So we can just use our knowledge of resizing the column to resize. Once you just click, you just drag, and it will fit in for you. Okay, can we go to absolute cell referencing? Can we go to absolute cell referencing now? Let me know. Type yes. Okay, let's go to absolute cell referencing. All right. So for absolute cell referencing, to explain what it means, you have these several guys and the names. I'll have how much they are being paid before tax. Okay, I have how much they are being paid before tax. I have the tax rate as what? 5%. Is that okay? So the first guy here is what? Mr. Yusuf. The second guy is what? Mr. Kenny or Kani or something. The third guy is what? Mr. Popular or Popola. All right. So Mr. Yusuf earns 60K. I guess these guys are in Naira, but it would have been better if it's in dollars because 60K would be like 30 million Naira. Okay, now let me just put the right currency. So it's not in dollars, so but in Naira. Okay, let's just use dollars. Okay, let's just use dollars. Then Mr. Kani earns 40K. Mr. Popola earns 85K. Now, tax amounts. How much of the tax? Okay, how much of the tax did they pay? All right. So if someone is earning 500 Naira and they eventually tell the person to pay 100 Naira tax, eventually the take home of that person will be what? 400 naira, is that not? All right. So someone earns 500 naira and the person is to pay a tax of 100 naira. This is an instant, assuming, okay, because 100 naira or 500 naira is almost percentage now. I think that is up to 20%. That is too high. So, but in assuming the person is paying 100 naira, his take home eventually will be what? 400 naira. Is that okay? Now, if we have several people, probably up to 10 people, and they are being told to pay 100 naira each, depending on their take home, that means 100 naira will be deducted from each of them. Is that not? All right. Definitely, you not come to one person and deduct 100 naira, then another person will deduct 50 naira, another person will deduct 200 naira. Okay. So the tax in this instance is what? Fixed. In this case is what? 5%. All right. So 5% is the tax that all these people are paying. Please, if it is clear so far, type yes before I continue. Okay. Yes, I need yes from others. All right. I guess, okay, Maria, Simon, Victor. Okay, we responded. Okay. Now, if that is so, to find the tax amount, what you just need to do is to do what? Multiply this with this. That is how to find the tax amount. That is the amount that this person is paying as tax. Okay. All right. So 5% of his total salary is the tax amount. All right. Just like in mathematics, you hear of BODMAS. So brackets of division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So off in this case is what? Multiply. So you're going to multiply this and this to get the tax amount. Please, I don't want to teach you maths because that is out of scope, but that is just the simple thing you're going to do here. All right. So 5 times 60, you get your tax amount. All right. Okay. So what you just need to do is what? Start with what? Equal to. Eventually. Equal to. Then I hit what? Select the cell that you're multiplying with. In this case, is what? M7. You don't need to cram the cell. You just hit on that particular cell where you want to pick your value from. You get the cell. All right. Then introduce your what? Asterisk, which is in Excel is what? Multiplication. Then select the tax rate. Okay. So the tax rate is what? 5%, which in this case is what? M4. Okay. So after you've done that, you hit what? Enter. So out of this person's 60K, he's paying what? 3,000 as tax. Does this make sense? If it makes sense so far, please type yes. Okay, we are moving slow and steady. Even though it's this thing that will understand today, I'm happy. Okay, so all right. Okay, now the tax is fixed. There's no preferential treatment. There's no pay as you earn. Everybody is paying the same thing. That is why everybody's tax must be applied to this 5%. This guy is earning 60K and we apply 5% to this, and he's going to pay 3,000 from his 60K. Okay, so this guy is paying what? He's been paid 40K. So his tax will now be what? Equal to this multiplied by what? This. Enter. So he's going to pay what? 2,000 out of his 40K. All right. So Mr. Popola, it is popular, is going to be paying this multiplied by this. So he's going to be paying what? 4,250. I don't want to call this in dollars because all these are actually very high amounts when you convert it to Naira. Okay. This guy is almost 1.5 mil. Okay. So let's just leave it as it is. So supposing this is how much they are paying. All right. So, but supposing you have 10,000 of this staff Are you going to be doing this one at a time? Definitely no. Definitely no. So us doing it one at a time is because there are just three, and you just be like, oh, it's common three now, we can do it. But supposing you just have hundreds of it. Remember, in office environment, you are supposed to work efficiently. Please mark that word efficiently, so that you don't, get busy for nothing. All right. Working efficiently is very, very important in an office environment, and working smartly also. All right. So using Excel to make your work more efficient is what we are clamoring for. That is why we've made this class. That is why we've come up with this class. All right. So now, supposing we want to try what we did when we were doing add and minus, and we want to replicate the answers down this particular column. Let us see if it will work here. All right. So I'm just going to clear this, and I will select Mr. Yusuf, the row of Mr. Yusuf. That is this cell. So ideally, from what we've learned before now, ideally, I'm going to do what? Drag down. Okay. I'm going to drag down. So I'm going to drag down. So, and I want you to see what happens. Okay. So this is what happens. Remember, before now, we did it one at a time and we got the correct answer. Now we now ask ourselves, supposing we now have 100 of these records, are we going to be doing it one by one? We said what? No. So since we are not going to be doing it one by one, we are supposed to work smart and we are supposed to work more efficient. So we now took it upon ourselves to drag the first answer down so that it will replicate, so that it will copy the formula down. But we notice that it's not working. Okay? It's not working. So why is it not working? Why is it not working? That is where absolute cell referencing comes in. Okay, that is when absolute cell referencing does what? Comes in. So for absolute cell referencing, to understand it, please, if this is one other thing that you must understand in this class, I'll be very, very happy. For absolute cell referencing to understand it, it actually helps you to carry out calculation in Excel. The rows and the column does not change when you copy down your formula down a column. Okay, so, or you can look at it as, for absolute cell referencing, is making the column and the row to be, should I use, to be constant or to be fixed while the formula is being copied down the column or across the row. Now, the fixed element in this case is what? Your 5%. Why I don't want to define all these things, because they are just concepts. If you understand it, nobody will say, go and come and define absolute cell referencing or relative cell referencing in your office. Okay, it's only probably in school or in exam that they'll say, come and define this thing. But here, we want to understand it and understand how it is being used. All right. So how do we now make this cell absolute cell referencing? Or how do we now absolute cell reference this particular formula? The constant guy here is what? M4. All right. The constant here is what? M4. It doesn't change for all the staff. These are the staff. And in this case, we only have 3 of them. But we are assuming, supposing they are 100, the 5% does not change for each of them. So how do we make it in such a way that when we are copying this particular formula down, the 5% does not change? That is when we are going to use what? Absolute cell reference. Okay, so how do we now make this M4 to be referenced absolutely? What you just need to do is to do what? After your first formula, look at the formula bar. You have what? M7 multiplied by what? M4. The constant guy there is what? 5%, and it is in cell what? M4. So manually select your M4. If you are working on your computer, manually select your M4. Then what you need to do is, okay, sorry, let me do this first. What you need to do to make this cell absolute cell reference is to add a $sign in front of your M, add another $sign in front of 4, okay? So add a $sign in front of your M, add another $sign in front of what? 4. You don't need to cram anything because your 5% in another worksheet can be anywhere. It can be D5, it can be C18. Okay, but in this case, 5% is lucky to be in this cell M4. So I now said 5% is applied to each of the staff. To now reference this cell absolutely, or to make this cell an absolute cell reference, what you just need to do is to simply what? Add $sign in front of what? M and in front of what? 4. Okay, the cell we are referencing absolutely is cell M4. Okay, that is why we're adding the $sign in front of M and in front of what? 4. Look at what we have here, please. Look at what we have here. Okay. Can you, I want to bring up something. Sorry, are we still together? Because everywhere is just so quiet. Hope I'm not just talking to myself. Yes, okay, okay, all right. So I want to point us to this, okay, all right, okay. Great. Okay, I want to point us to this particular section. This guy here, right? If you notice, I have what? $A, $2, okay? So this A2 cell has been referenced absolutely. Now, what it means that the column and the row do not change when what? Copied. So if the $sign is in front of the row number, it means the row does not change when what? Copied. If the $sign is in front of the column later, it means the column does not change when copied. Please, you don't need to cram this. Just as I'm reading it, just be nodding your head. We are still going to do more examples. Remember I said that Excel is all about practice. Forget theory. Forget what theory. Even after you've done theory, make sure you do what? Back it up with what? Practice. All right. Having said that, I'm going to add my $sign here. Please just head straight to formula bar. I'm going to add my $sign. How to add your $sign is your shift in your keyboard, press down and you press number 4. Okay, because $sign and the 4 key are together. So the $sign can be gotten when you press the shift key on your keyboard together with the number 4. So I'm going to add $sign here and I hit what? Enter. It doesn't change my answer. It doesn't change my answer. The miracle it does is when I eventually copy this guy down the column here, all right, it does it automatically for me. It does it automatically for me because this cell M4 has been referenced what? Absolutely. How did we reference it absolutely? We added the $sign in front of M and in front of 4, making it possible for us to copy the formula down the column without the column and the row changing. Is that okay? Now, if you notice, let us analyze the formula critically. In this first instance, we have what? M7 times what? M4, but the M4 is referenced absolutely. So in this next one, we'll have 2,000 as the tax amount we paid. We have what? M8 multiplied by what? The same M4. If you notice, M4 is not changing because we have introduced what? The $sign. In the next one, we have what? M9 multiplied by what? M4. M4 is not changing because we've introduced what? The $sign. Remember, the essence of referencing a cell absolutely is if you don't want the value to change, when copied down the column or across the row, okay? And also, it will be more efficient if we reference this absolutely without doing it one at a time, so that it will be easier for us to replicate, okay, or to copy, all right? Because if you have 100 of these employees, or if you have 1,000 or 500 of this staff, please, we are looking at real world scenario here, all right? This is just example. In real life, you will not be just working with 3 people. You'll be working with several tens and hundreds of staff. Hope this makes sense. Now, having explained this, we are going to still look at another example. Let us calculate their take home. So their take home is very easy. All right. So I'm just going to unmute us now. Let someone tell us how we're going to calculate their take home. Okay, let me just say it. You just subtract this from this. Is okay. Then you get their take home. Because if they're paying this, definitely the whole 60K is not for them. So this guy is going to getting what? Equal to this 60K minus this, and you get their take home. All right. Now, we don't need to reference any other cell absolutely. We just have to now drag this one down and to give us our answer. All right. So 40K minus 2K will give us 38K. 85K minus 4 to 15 will give us this. Please, if you have any question, let us know before we go ahead. We've tried to explain absolute self-referencing and relative self-referencing. If you have any question, let us know before we go ahead. Okay? All right. If there's any place that you want us to explain more or to touch on more, let us know also.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, I want to let you know that I'm really enjoying the class. I'm not regretting joining this class at all.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, but I'm having, I got the calculation you did before tax and how for the first column and the first row. But my challenge is, this column and row do not change when copied. When you started adding this dollar sign and that and we started adding it, that was where I got a little confused.
Okay.
You just throw a little light on that aspect again. Thank you, sir.
All right, no problem. Okay, I've taken note of that. Yes, Salim is raising up his hand. Let me unmute you, or let me ask you to unmute. You cannot unmute. Yes, Salim, I'm hearing you. Okay, Salim has gone off now. Okay, yes. Any other person have any challenge? Any other person have any challenge? Okay, so I'm going to answer Victor. I'm going to answer Victor now. So what I'm just going to do is, should I use another example? Okay, let me just use another example. Maybe it will help. Let me use another example. Maybe it will help. All right, let me just use this. So I have Simon, Maria, Suleiman, Victor. So I have Simon, Maria, Suleiman. Okay, then I have Victor. Right. So then am I missing anyone? Then I have so I have these 4 guys here. Right. So I have these 4 guys here. So I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger. All right. Then I'm going to resize this cell to fit. So names of candidates. Names. Okay. Then I have fee. So I have fee. All right. So I'm just going to apply a color across this. So I'm just going to select this fill color, then add this. Then so I have this. So these are the names, then these are the fees. Then have let's say we have apart from tax, maybe every month a particular deduction is being made for each staff or for each candidate, and the deduction is 1,000. All right. Every month after your pay, let me just put this as a currency. All right. 1,000. Is that okay? Let me just say this guy's salary is this. This is salary. I will now have take home. Take home. Take home is eventually what is left after the deduction, is that not? All right. So this is salary. So Simon's salary is let's say 500, or let's say 100,000. Okay. Then Maria's salary is 75,000. So we have 10 more minutes. We can explain this before we go. Then Suleiman's salary is, Suleiman, what salary should I give you now? 20,000. Then Victor's salary is 110,000. Maria, I hope you are not angry that I gave you 5,000. Okay. So wait, let me give Maria 150,000 because she's the only female here before they'll start querying us for gender inequality. Please, guys, let's give Maria 150K. Okay. So with that said, now this 100,000, right? 150, 120, 110. All right. So with that said, now this is tax. This is tax. All right. So I'm going to copy the formatting of this guy and apply it here. So this is tax. This is still currency. Okay. Oh, all right. Then we'll have I'm going to apply the currency listing to this so that it will be easier for us. Okay. Then have the take home. Okay, amount tax. Let's make this amount taxed. Amount taxed. Okay. I hope my tax is correct. I'm not an English student, please pardon me. All right. Now, just like we saw before now, okay, if we are to apply this tax to each of this salary, what you just need to do is to hit your equal to, multiply. Sorry. Oh, this is 1,000, right? So amount tax, all right, it will still work out. So it will be what? This equal to this minus, because eventually tax is going to be deducted from each of these guys, right? Please, are we following? So this definitely can still be take home. Since there's no percentage, it's real money. So equal to this minus this is his take home. So his take home will be what? 99K. All right. But ideally, if we drag this down for relative self-referencing, it will actually pick the next column, all right, which is G8. All right. Remember, this particular 1,000 is in G7. That is I11 minus G7, which is 99,000. So if we drag it down, okay, it will now be as if it is subtracting I12, which in this case is what? 150,000 minus what? G8. There's nothing in G8, so it's just like 150,000 minus 0. So it will still give you what? 150,000. Is all right. So if you do the calculation like that, that means you cheat this person now, because every other person nothing will be deducted from their salary. In fact, this one is showing value. Why is this showing value? It's because you are subtracting I-13, which is 120,000 from names, because G9 is names. Is that okay? And this guy is an empty space. So the essence why we want to, or the essence of absolute cell reference, is to make the value, or where the particular formula is picking its value from, constant. Is to make the particular formula where it's picking its value from constant. In this case, we want to make this particular cell G7 constant, so that if we copy the formula down this particular group, it will always come back to this G7 to pick its value. All right. So G7 remains constant. It doesn't change. Am I communicating? Okay. So the only way to make it constant is to introduce the dollar sign. So the dollar sign, we'll just introduce the dollar sign by adding the dollar sign in front of your G and in front of your what? In front of your what? 7, right? Okay. So just know that to make it absolute cell reference, or to reference it absolutely, add the dollar sign where the constant is. The constant in this case is what? In $1,000. All right. And the cell is what? G7. So add your dollar sign in front of G and in front of what? 7. Now remember, we are not multiplying just like we saw before now. We are in this case subtracting. So absolute cell referencing can be done for any of the operators, be it addition, subtraction, multiplication. Okay, so you hit enter. All right. Now, when you now want to now copy, it will now pick the value from this 1,000. So in this case, it is now saying 150K minus what? Cell dollar sign G7. All right. So my dear that was asking me that question, had it been here with your computer, it would have been easier. Okay. But what I want you to do is that at the end of this class, I'm still going to give us tax, and the tax is going to be on absolute cell referencing to understand better. But I want you to comment now if the explanation is clear. Is the explanation clear? Let me know. Let me know. Or do you understand now? Let me know. All right. Okay. Okay. So we have about 2 more minutes. Let me see if we can just introduce the next thing before we end this class. All right. Let me see if I can just end this class. So we're ending for the final round. All right. So just as you said, once using computer one will understand. All right. Yes, it is clear. Okay. Clear and more practice, I'll understand more. Yes, definitely we need more practice. Okay. We need more practice. We need more practice. Okay. So let me even go to our introduction. So some people just joined us. So you are welcome for those that are just joining us. All right. So this class, I was hoping that it will end today. Okay. I was hoping that it will end today. But from the way it is, we might probably have to continue some other time. Tomorrow is actually going to be for intermediate class, and on Wednesday is going to be advanced, right? So let's just see. Let us see. Okay, it is clear. Simon say it is clear. So I have 1 minute. I'm just going to end this class for the last phase. Permission to end? Yes. Okay, so just join. Once I end, I'll just start it again. So you just join back. Is that okay? All right.
Fruit needs to go to bed.
So is there only two of us? Okay. Okay. Let's just give 1 or 2 minutes before others join, so I'll just round up. But this is going to be the work you're going to do. It's very simple, but I'm going to be showing you what you are to do. All right. This, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. All right. So it will help you to practice more. Okay. You're going to do this also. Then okay, so that is just basically what you're going to do as far as the task is concerned. I don't know. Can we continue? I can't hear you again. All right. Who else can hear me? I can hear you now. All right, all right. So we are just, I want to see if we can get the others to join, because we are running out of time. I wanted us to, I thought we'll have done more, right? So that at least we'll be able to join tomorrow's class, because there's no how.
It's like I didn't understand what you were saying. I think you said you're actually not.
Sorry, Victor, you're saying something.
Yes, I say it's like, you know, when you're saying we'll round up in the next 2 something minutes like that, maybe they were thinking is the last section for today.
Oh, wow.
Maybe
Okay.
that's what they were thinking, yes. Yeah, because they're supposed to have joined.
Okay, maybe we'll just continue and just finish up.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you know, Zoom is just 40 minutes. So like I have to close it, else it will shut down itself by itself. All right, so this is the task that Suleiman wants to join, but I think he's finding it difficult to join. Okay, Suleiman have joined. All right, so this is the task. I'm going to be sending this to the group now, either through mail or through WhatsApp. So, but this is the task that you'll be doing. Once you open this on your PC, you'll see all these worksheets. Is all right. So what you just need to do is to locate the menu order, no tax worksheets, and you locate paper goods worksheets. All right. So once you've located this one is very easy. What you just need to do is to find the line total. You multiply unit price times the quantity. You find this. Is okay. Unit price times this, you find this. It's very easy. So a formula has been entered here for you, so that as you are multiplying and getting all these answers, it will be adding up all this for you. All right. But what you just need to do, multiply this and this to get this. Very simple. So the next one for you is, there are two tax. So in this case, there's a tax rate here, right? So you now say unit price and you have the quantity. The sales is now going to be what? Unit price times quantity, you get the sales. Unit price times quantity, you get the sales. Unit price times quantity, you get the sales. If you don't want to do it one at a time, you just come here and drag down to replicate. The sales tax will now be what? The answer that you got in your sales multiplied by 7.5%. The answer that you got in your sales multiplied by 7.5%, or cell F2 will give you your sales tax. It's very simple. But in this case, you have to reference cell F2 absolutely by adding $sign in front of F and $sign in front of 2 to get your answer. Sorry, I'm rushing because my computer battery is very low now and it will soon go off. But this is just what you are going to do. Very simple step. If you have any question, let me know now before we end this class. If the explanation is clear, then let me know also. All right, it's actually very simple, okay? It's very simple, okay. All right, so I'm going to be sending it to you guys either through mail or through WhatsApp. So just check WhatsApp, then you can now copy it down, okay? So any other question before we go? Another question?
So when will you be needing it, sir?
Sorry?
We'll only be needing this.
Okay, once you are through, you just submit on the group. Okay?
Okay, sir.
And just submit on the group, then we'll go through it.
Okay, so we can still join tomorrow class, right?
You can join tomorrow class.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
It's all right. So if that will be all, Simon, Victor, Suleiman, if that will be all, we're going to be ending this class now. Is that okay? So see you on the next one, or see you on the group. Bye for now.